Championship week in the books. We crowned a bunch of new champions, and now 12 teams remain on the quest to glory. I'm your host, Sean. My Gators are not one of those 12 teams, unfortunately, but we feeling good in Gainesville. There's some smoke going on. Things are looking on the up and up, but we got a long ways to go until Florida takes the field. So, what we're going to do today is welcome a special guest as well as our normal co host, Stefan. And we're going to talk about these championship weekend games. We'll talk about the playoff bracket that was officially revealed. And we'll have a very fun Clown of the Week segment because I myself have three Clowns of the Week. And yeah, a lot of clownery going on in the season. But yeah, let me introduce the co host, Steph. The Oregon Ducks come in with that 5 seed. Pretty good spot to be. How you feeling going into this bye week before the playoffs begin? Now can you hear me?
I can hear you, Steph. I think you muted.
All right.
My bad, y'all.
No,
I
you
feel
good.
amazing. You know, the final rankings have been reviewed. We know what teams everybody's playing. We know what the bracket's going to look like. And my Ducks is sitting pretty at that number 5 seed. It looks like we have a pretty good path to the national championship. And yeah, like I just feel really good about this team and what we can accomplish this season. So I'm just ready to get these playoffs started, man. I just want the guys to get healthy and get ready to put belt against JMU, which we'll get into that a little bit more. But
For sure.
that's my focus on them James Madison Dukes.
Yes, sir. And like I mentioned earlier, we do have a special guest. If you guys are true TPS OGs, you'll know him. We brought back Haas, one of the founders to TPS. If you guys were watching our Twitch, you guys remember him from our NFL and all that shit. He's been on a couple of our college podcasts as well. He's a resident Georgia Bulldog fan. Georgia just locked up the SEC championship and the number 2 seed overall.
3 seed.
Three
Three.
seed. So we had to bring Haas on, let him talk his shit. We'll break down the game and we'll talk a little bit of college football playoff. Haas, what's good? How you feeling? Welcome back to the show. Georgia, another SEC championship. Kirby Smart gets away with it again.
What's good, my boys? It's great to be back. Great to be talking December football. You know, this is definitely a privilege to still be playing around this time of the year. Not a lot of teams make it, especially teams in them gold helmets. I'm not gonna say no names, but a lot of guys were left outside of the club, and I think a
Yeah,
precedent might have been set this year. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting into that. Yeah, we're the 3 seed right now, but I definitely think we got robbed. Unbiased, I think we should be the 1 seed, but I can respect Signetti's squad
Lord.
and what he's got going on over there for sure. I mean, once we get into Indiana, I'll give my further thoughts on that. But yeah, Georgia's a 3 seed. I'm feeling good right now. It's great to be a Georgia Bulldog fan.
I mean, speaking of dogs and teams with purple helmets, or gold helmets, there's a team with gold helmets that did make the playoffs, and there's another team that's purple and gold with a dog mascot that did make the playoffs. So that's all I got to say about
you throwing subliminals, you might as well put some
that.
names on it.
Hey, no conference, fake hairline, something. You still got to be true to something, man. Spraying
Hey,
on
I
our
mean,
hairlines.
look,
Don't want to play in the conference.
yeah, I mean that Beijing, don't have it be raining that day because that Beijing gonna be flying off the head, man, right onto that
Yeah,
ground. So
for sure. The committee
you
probably
gotta
took
watch
that
out
into
for that.
consideration
Yeah,
and
So
didn't
that
want to
that's
put.
one gold helmet, but I'm talking about them Chihuahuas up in Seattle. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They got
The
the
flying
purple and
fishes.
gold. Yeah, they got the purple and gold dogs all the way in Virginia making the playoff, and the ones in Seattle ain't. Like, what's up with that?
Yeah, it's a wild college football landscape when you got two G5 teams in the playoffs. And let's talk about it all. Let's talk about how we got there. It started off Friday night with Tulane and North Texas taking battle. It was pretty much a done deal that the winner of that game was going to be a playoff lock. Tulane, my future head coach John Summerall and the boys, the Fighting Summeralls, they went crazy, man. North Texas is one of the top offenses in the G5, and yeah, they had a good plan. They ran the ball well to keep their offense off the field, and Tulane locks up that playoff spot. I think they got a pretty good matchup against Ole Miss without Lane Kiffin as well. I'm not going to make any crazy predictions, but I think a cover or something. We'll make some early picks at the second half of the show, but I like the way Tulane looked. That was a nice win over North Texas. They lock up a spot. And then James Madison, they had to win for their chance to get in. They did do that. They beat Troy in the Sun Belt Championship, 31-14. So they did what they were supposed to do. And obviously, as we all know now, they got help from the committee and they got that 12 seed. Obviously, matchup against Oregon, not super favorable, but we'll discuss that matchup in the second half of the show. Kennesaw State, what a turnaround, man. That's a G5 team. We didn't really talk too much about the G5 this year. It wasn't super exciting outside of the American, which we did talk about, but I think Kennesaw State is a good story in college football in general, man. They were terrible last year, 2 years ago. Now 10-3, Conference USA champions. That's solid. And then Boise State, they locked up the Mountain West title, 38-21 over the Fighting Dan Mullins. So shout out to them. The real games, though, the real money was made on Saturday. And it started off with BYU and Texas Tech. This was a game that was pretty much a repeat of the first matchup. Not really surprising. I think we both picked Texas Tech to cover. That's not really. I kind of want to talk about BYU, but I feel like we should talk about BYU in the second half of the show when we're talking about playoff rankings, because I feel like BYU has a case to be in over some of the teams I got in. But let's talk about Texas Tech, though. Texas Tech. We'll talk. That's what I said. We need time to actually break that down, and I'll give my take. But Texas Tech, 12-1, Big 12 champs. They lock up a top 4 seed and a bye. How do you guys feel about this team? I think this is a team that a lot of people are still maybe kind of sleeping on. Like, I don't know if many people are expecting Texas Tech to go that deep. Maybe win a game, but I think Texas Tech could make a run.
Yeah, I think they definitely have an opportunity to do something special this season. Um, they most likely going to have to go through us. So, we'll get to that not a little bit, but in the future episode. But I think Texas Tech is definitely a team that has some good players, and they definitely have the potential to beat somebody and really make it to semis or even win the whole thing. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, there's this game against BYU though. It was pretty close for most of the game, but then they kind of blew it open when they got a few turnovers in the third quarter, and then that was pretty much the game. I mean, BYU's offense really just couldn't do anything outside of their first possession. And I'm gonna be honest though, I'm not really, and I know I just said all that about Texas Tech being able to win the whole thing, but in terms of those teams, I think Texas Tech has the least chance, the lowest chance, out of I guess the top 5 to win the whole thing, because their offense, it doesn't really impress me, man. Like I said, they got a lot of turnovers. They didn't really have to drive the whole length of the field against BYU a lot of the time, and their defense is really good, and it's the strength of that team. But
Yeah, for sure.
I
agree.
don't I don't think that
team,
Yep.
but
yeah
their
I
defense
don't
is
think
good.
yeah I don't think their offense is going to be able to score a lot of points against a good defense, whether that's in Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State, or Georgia. I think those teams would kind of just be a boa constrictor on that offense and
Darren
not
Morgan
really.
has not been fully healthy though. He's been practicing in a practice boot over the past like couple of
Yeah,
months or month and some change. He finally is out of that now. He's practicing normal, so maybe he gets fully healthy. That could I think they got some good coaches too. I think they have a really good offensive
well,
coordinator.
yeah. I mean,
I
their
definitely
Definitely
agree with
defense
talented.
Steph. I
their
think the
defense is really
offense was,
amazing.
yeah, their
Go
defense
ahead,
was,
Oz.
if they're gonna go on a run, it's gonna be because of their defense. And it's gonna be because of David Bailey, the linebacker they got. But I think he has around like 14 sacks or some shit this year. I know he's going crazy. And their offense, like you said, is definitely limited, especially if Morton's injured. They really have a committee as well. Like, they don't really have a star player on that offense. Like, the running back's definitely solid, but I don't know if he's a star amongst teams like Ohio State, Georgia, Oregon. So I think that their offense would definitely be limited. But if they were to go on a run in the playoffs, it would have to be because of that defense. They'd have to win some low scoring games, and they have a chance. They get a bye first round. They have to play one less games than a lower seed, so that helps. But I think their defense will have to go on a run like we've never seen, honestly. And that
Yeah,
sounds super far fetched, considering the fact, like I said, their best player, um, Bailey, the linebacker slash edge, he's really. They only have one of him. It's not like they're deep at the position where, not yet at least. I know Tech is building their roster, but they're not that deep to where they can compete with teams like Georgia or have one player take over a whole game.
yeah, it'll definitely be an interesting matchup if you're looking a little bit ahead to when Oregon, uh, I guess, eventually beats JMU. Obviously, we got to be careful, but obviously that's what's going to happen. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I think Texas Tech is in a good spot. They got a good team. They are definitely a wild card. Interesting to see they lock up the Big 12 championship. Real quick before we move on, comparing them to last year's Arizona State team that did win a playoff game that kind of shocked some people and really made some plays. Obviously led by Cam Scatterbo, Scat Pack, Sam Levitt, and the guys. How do you compare this Texas Tech team? Do you because I kind of feel like they're similar. So
It's funny because I guess they're similar in different way in opposite ways. Like I think the anchor of this Tech team is the seniority and Morton and the defense, of course, and then Arizona State would be Levitt, the offense, Scatterboo. So I definitely think they're. I think Tech's just probably a little more balanced. I think Arizona State overperformed last year on defense
yeah, their
than a
defense
lot of people thought they would.
was pretty good last year, but you're right. That wasn't that wasn't sustainable. They were peaking. So all right, let's move on to the SEC championship. Georgia, Alabama, and yeah, not much of a contest in this one. Georgia kind of coast to a victory, 28-7. Bama gets that petty touchdown in the fourth quarter. Oz, you're our resident Georgia fan. Talk to us a little bit about this game, and then we'll kind of talk about both of these teams in a second.
Yeah, so I'm actually on Alabama's campus right now, just trying to get the Wi-Fi password. It looks like it's belt to ass. Yeah, I'm connected. Belt to ass is the Wi-Fi password. It really wasn't a contest like you said, but I think anybody who watch or keeps up with the Georgia Bama rivalry, excuse me, knows that this one was personal for Kirby. Kirby is officially 1-4 after beating DeBoer, which is crazy. But this one was personal. Georgia's only L this year was against Bama at home in Athens. Huge game for recruits. So that L hit different. I think that motivated Georgia all year long, and they probably take their conference championship more serious than anybody. Kirby's one of the most old school coaches we got left in the game, and I think that that's going to show this year in the playoffs when he wins with Gunnar Stockton and a bunch of, honestly, I don't want to say Joes, but on offense they don't really have, outside Zachariah Branch, they don't have any superstar on offense. I think Kirby's really got these kids bought in, and this game versus Bama was a testament to what he's built at Georgia, because I don't think anyone's seen a 21-point victory. I definitely felt like Georgia had a momentum going into this game. Bama had just came off a stinker versus Auburn. They barely made it out of that. So I definitely think Georgia had the edge, but I didn't see a 21-point victory. This one just Ty Simpson, I think he let a lot of Ty fans down. I know who's the dude Drewski be with Roll Willie, Ty Willie, whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know he
yeah, yeah.
nothing but the Tide. I know he's blown because they didn't really do much. I mean, he barely cracked 200 yards. Ryan Williams was a
Yeah,
no show.
can I say
If it
something real
wasn't for
quick?
that, go ahead.
-3 rushing yards. I was listening to. I brought this up before too. The last time
Pitiful.
Alabama and Georgia played, Josh Pate had said that the last 3 times Alabama and Georgia played combined, Alabama had 86 rushing yards in 3 games against Georgia. They just had -3, so now they're at 83 yards in 4 games against Georgia. Like that's just not going to cut it. You're never
Yeah,
going to
a
beat
lot of
Georgia.
that is coming from a 30-yard sack Ty Simpson
Yeah,
took as well.
of course,
So
but I mean,
those numbers are definitely skewed, but that doesn't take anything away from the fact that between two running backs, Bama had less than 10 carries. So that goes to show they played from behind all game long, were forced to drop back, and
their leading rusher had 4 carries for 11 yards.
yeah,
Gross.
exactly. It
That's
just
just
looked
gross.
like Bama kind of, I guess they just assumed they'd make the playoffs. They knew they wouldn't be penalized for losing the conference chip, and it showed. Not
I
to
Yeah,
take any
mean,
credit away from Georgia, but this
no, you're
that
right. But it was,
performance proved that the committee's is selectively politicking because
yeah.
I don't expect that performance from Bama in the playoffs, even in the snow
Mm,
in Norman.
I do
yeah,
because
Bama has to be able to run the ball.
if you look at the trajectory between Bama and Georgia, Georgia's a team that's peaking at the right time. They've gotten better as the season has gone on, and Alabama, they kind of got a little better in the middle, and then they've kind of plateaued and kind of dipped off towards the end of the season. Like you just said about the stinker with against Auburn. I mean, they lost to Oklahoma, who can't even do anything on offense. Um, they got the BTA in the SEC championship. I mean, -3 rushing yards is just pathetic, even with a 30-yard sack. I mean, what was it, 4 carries for 11 yards, a leading rusher? What type?
Yeah,
You're not gonna beat any good team playing football like that. And I just think that Georgia's defense was really amazing. I mean, they were dialing up some pretty good pressures that had Ty Simpson confused. And that's just in combination with Alabama not really having many good players. I mean, Jeremy Bernard, if you stop him, it looks like you just stop everything that has to do with Alabama's offense because other than him, no one really scares you. I mean, Ryan
nope.
Williams has kind of been a no-show all season long. I mean, even last season, outside of the Georgia game, he's just been a ghost. I mean, he's really just like an average college wide receiver at this point, maybe even below that, because we don't even see him do anything during these games anymore. And Alabama doesn't really have a run game at all. I mean, Jam Miller is a pretty good back, but he's been banged up all season. And, even besides that, I don't think their offensive line is very good, or their schemes are not very good. There's something going on there with this Alabama run game because it's not working against anybody of note. And it shows like when they play against a team like Georgia, when they play against a team like Oklahoma that has a good defense, they can't do anything. And I think Ty Simpson is a good quarterback, but again, this is a team sport. I mean, you have an offensive line that's not very dominant. You don't really have amazing running backs. You got one really good wide receiver, but other than that, I mean, Isaiah Horton and Ryan Williams, they're not moving the needle, man. It's just not moving the needle. So I really don't, and we'll get into the other matchups, but I don't expect Alabama to go very far in this playoffs. Honestly, even if they beat Oklahoma in a rematch, they're gonna lose the next one.
Yeah, I'm not too confident in Bama moving forward at all. They aren't playing an inspiring brand of football like you mentioned.
I
Um,
actually disagreed, which is crazy, and I'm not even having a
I,
biased
I don't
SEC
like the
take or
matchup. They
anything.
got Oklahoma in the first round, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. I just can't imagine. I know they're on a bad trajectory, like Steph said, but I just can't imagine that all those players you named, Jeremy Bernard, Simpson, I know Ryan Williams is a ghost, but they still have number one, Isaiah Horton. He's a bucket. He has to get the ball more. I think he only had one catch in the SEC chip. That was pitiful. But they definitely
yeah,
have the
I
weapons. I think he's had a solid season. He's come up in big moments for them this year at least. I think that they could gotta get him the ball. Like you said, Jeremy Bernard is that he has to eat. He has to get at least 10 targets.
You trust the quarterback?
I do. I do. I mean, I'm only speaking from when they beat us earlier in the year. And if they could play like that consistently with just an identity on offense and not try and get too fancy, like Steph said. I think they try and get out their element, and they run away from the tradition Alabama had, which is just like a very, 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 very cohesive team. Like the defense complements the offense, offense complements the defense. Bama just seems like very streaky. They don't really have an identity anymore since DeBoer's been there. And I think that in the playoffs, if they could kind of play similar to how they did in the beginning of the year, where Ty Simpson's getting the ball out quick and they don't have him trying to get to guys like we just mentioned outside Bernard, Horton, and Williams. It's not like they're flooded at receiver like they usually are. I think they're trying to do too much with too little. And if they could just stick to the quick game, stick to the RPOs and less like complex formations with not Judy, Devontae Smith, guys, J-Mo, guys like that, I think that they have to keep it a little bit more simple and keep the ball on the ground. Keep the ball on the ground in the snow. I think they have a shot. And I definitely think their defense could come up big in the snow versus Oklahoma because, like Steph said, I think if any team's trajectories going down, it's been Oklahoma. In the beginning of the year, I really, really liked them. They were pretty hot, but it looks like they just lost all their mojo in the fall.
I got a question for y'all. Do y'all
What's
think
up?
Alabama? Do y'all think Alabama can win the championship this year? Because I
No.
personally don't.
I mean, they're on the other side of Georgia's bracket. They're on the other side of the bracket where Georgia is. So they would only have to defeat Indiana and Oregon or Texas Tech to get to the championship. Do I think they could beat Indiana? Yes. Do I think they could beat Texas Tech? Yes. Do I think they could beat Oregon? Yes. Now, do I think they could beat Ohio State? I'm not sure. Do I think they could beat Georgia again? I'm not even sure that one's as much of a toss up. So I think they can make it to the championship. Winning it is a whole different story. Is a whole
I
different story
mean,
because they're an injury away from, like we just mentioned, they only have really three skill players they could trust. Like
bro,
one of
if
those guys
if
goes down.
Indiana if Indiana plays like they played against Ohio State, they're not beating. They're not beating India. They're not. Alabama's not beating Indiana. They're not beating
That's
it.
fair.
If Indiana plays like they've been playing, I mean, they played well against Oregon. That's why they beat us at home. Like they're not beating Indiana if they get through Oklahoma. And we'll get to that game later. But I don't really see it from this Alabama team, man. I mean
I've just
that.
seen them so many times be a low seed or just crack the playoffs and then they win a championship. Like, and this is with less than 12 teams.
But
So
that was with Coach Saban. Last year they didn't even make the playoff with Coach DeBoer, and they got lucky this year. They shouldn't have even made it, which is another topic of discussion. But I don't. I think this is just different. It's a different coach, different culture. Like you said, they got no identity. Like I don't really know what this team is supposed to be. I mean, they can't. They just can't run the ball at all. You're
at
not
all,
gonna
yeah,
be. You're
that's the
not beating
biggest problem.
anybody.
The
You're
quick
not
game
beating
is an
anybody.
extension for the run game for them. That's why I said if they could stick to that like they did earlier in the season, then that'll help them. The RPOs, like they don't have to
But
force
early in the season, they wasn't playing nobody. Like they was beating a bunch of teams that, quite frankly, wasn't really. They wasn't really doing anything. When they played, the only good win they had was Georgia, and then Georgia kind of returned the favor. So I don't really see it, man. Like at this point,
Uh,
if Alabama plays any of the top five teams, I'm taking the other team.
yeah, I think the key for Alabama is really going to be their defense. I don't I think their defense is pretty elite, to be honest. Um, I think if they get an elite performance from their defense throughout the playoffs, then that can close the gap. And then I agree with Haas that yeah, they got enough Ferraris in the garage to make something happen. But I think on a down to down basis, consistently, when they get lined up against a good team, they're going to get run off the field like what just happened in the SEC championship game. So, but even then, their defense, kept them kind of in that game. It's just they weren't able to get enough for from their offense. And then even that last throw that Ty Simpson made, or he just kind of sailed it on that fourth down last throw of the game. It was just, yeah, I don't know.
Jeremy Bernard had a chance to make it a close game at the end.
Yeah, he
There
did.
was a fourth down. It hit him in the stomach. I don't even think he thought the ball would get to him, but he did drop that. And yeah, Bama's defense would definitely have to be an anchor for them as well.
Yeah, I
They
think
haven't
I
let
think
up
that would be the
30
key.
points all year long. The defense has been superb.
Yeah,
Honestly, the defense is what's got them
yeah.
this close to
They
making
held
the
Vandy,
playoffs.
who has I think a top five ranked offense in
14
the
points.
country.
Yep.
14 points. They held Tennessee to 20 points. Um, yeah, they even in this game, Georgia. I mean, they scored a touchdown every quarter, but it wasn't like Georgia went and put 50 up. You know what I mean? Like, so we'll see. We'll spin back. We'll talk more about Alabama for sure, in the second half, and we'll discuss Georgia in a little bit as well. Let's talk about these night games because both of these are very important for the seeding and for everything that went down. Real quick, we'll talk about this Duke Virginia game because both of these teams did get eliminated, but Duke with 5 losses wound up winning the ACC, which almost eliminated the ACC if not for the committee obviously adding Miami over Notre Dame, which is one of the biggest storylines, obviously, of the year. But yeah, good for Duke. Manny Diaz gets a ACC championship before Duke does. I mean, before Miami does. That's crazy to me. Um, but
Isn't that pathetic? How do you fire a guy? He goes to multiple coaching stops since his firing, then takes a head coaching job at a worse program in the same
in the same
conference,
conference,
a
yeah,
historically worse program. Now I would say they better since they won the conference.
basketball school.
But exactly. And then they win the conference before you win the conference.
First one since
Oh my lord.
1962 or something like that. Duke hasn't won a football championship since the World War II era or whatever it is. Or like that's
Vietnam.
insane, dude. That's insane. That's nasty. But yeah, that kind of like I mentioned, eliminated the ACC. Besides Miami, Duke and Virginia, neither of them go ahead to qualify for the playoff. So all for naught, but still nice
That's
consolation
insane.
prize for Duke. What's up, Hop?
1962, man.
Yeah,
Ops
that's
had
crazy.
muskets.
All right, but let's talk about the crown jewel of the day. Number one versus number two was the Big Ten championship game. Ohio State, Indiana, battle of the undefeateds. And Indiana pulls off the upset, albeit small upset, over Ohio State, 13-10. Ohio State, some of their cracks, some of their flaws show in this game, and Indiana gets it done, man. Kirk Cignetti kind of stamps himself um, as definitely one of the top 3 to 5 coaches in the entire country. I
Top three,
mean,
top three.
yeah, all of us have watched college football since we were kids. We're all closing around 30 years old, and Indiana has been a complete laughing stock of a program our entire life. Probably one of the worst, if not the
I
worst.
think worse than laughing stock because we weren't
Yeah,
even
no,
laughing
for
at them.
sure.
Like you don't
Yeah, we
They
weren't
were
acknowledge
just
laughing at
them.
them.
bad.
You have to
Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't even
acknowledge
thinking
something
about
to
them.
laugh at it.
They
That's
were
true.
just bad the whole
That's a
time.
very good point. And for him to just come here and in 2 years have an undefeated season, back to back playoff appearances, it don't mean a thing without a ring. You know, that's a saying that they say. But a Big Ten ring, a Big Ten trophy, is a nice start. Um, what a win! What a year! Job's not finished, but Indiana is a dangerous team. Fernando Mendoza is a demon. I mean, some of the throws that guy makes is just like it's unbelievable. I'm not gonna lie. Like that guy has one of the livest arms I've seen in a while. He's crazy. Um, and they're just dogs, man. They just take on. It's that old saying, and this is why Georgia is so dangerous under Kirby Smart. You know, teams take on the personality of their head coach. Like that's just the truth of the matter. If your head coach is a dog, if your head coach is really about that life, your team is really going to reflect that. And as we all know, as I was just stamped, Sig is top 3. He's crazy.
Yeah. I was just
So
speaking about this off camera. I actually, before the game started on Saturday, I had said I think he's currently, right now, like today, the second best coach in college, just considering the fact, like you said, what he's done. I mean, it's not like he entered a blue blood football program. We're talking about Indiana
right,
football in December. This is the first time they've ever won the Big Ten. This team averaged about 4 to 5 wins for, like you said, 30 years, our entire lives. And this man
shit
has
back to
them in
back.
back-to-back 11-win seasons, playing for potentially a national championship with the number one seed. I mean, this is honestly unheard of. We've never seen any coach really do what he's done as quick as he's done it. And the fact that he could potentially be playing for a national championship after having like what most people thought to be a fluke year last year is crazy. So I have to give him his respect. And in the era with NIL, where kids are getting sued by their former university for trying to run off on them, you have to give respect where it's due. Like
That's your
being
team
able to
doing that
lead.
soft ass shit, by the way.
Hey, you can't run off on your tab, bro. Not in this economy. That's crazy. I mean, I have to get some more information on that story because the headlines read that Missouri agreed to pay off this kid. Uh, Here's some context if you don't know what we're talking about. Georgia's suing a former commit who decommitted after he was already given a back end of cash. And the story headlines that Missouri gave him the money and agreed to buy out his contract from Georgia, but the kid ran off with the money. So something's not adding up. I don't know why this guy would be responsible for paying Georgia back individually as opposed to a lawyer or somebody else who needs to handle the financial stuff, but that whole situation is messy, and that just goes to show it's a mess right now what's going on in college football. But if you're able to take a program that's not even known for football and turn it around into what it's been now, and a state amongst Notre Dame, like Notre Dame may not be in the conference, but they've run the state of Indiana in football probably as long as the sport's been alive.
Forever. Yeah, live forever.
So for him to do what he's done, in addition, they almost beat Notre Dame last year too. Let's not forget the game. When I say almost beat them, they had a chance before their kickoff.
They were in it. They Notre Dame beat them, but they were in it.
Yeah,
But
what the score was rough, but they made it all the way to Notre
They
Dame.
lost by
and
10. It wasn't that bad.
yeah, but you watched the game. Like they were in it, but like they weren't in it. You know, like they were in it though. So salute. But
I gotta say though, is this the best coaching turnaround we've ever seen?
That's what I just said. We've never
Yeah,
seen
in the
it.
modern
If we're
era,
talking
yeah,
about
for
Indiana football. It's not like he
Year
entered
two.
USC.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like if you turn around like a blue blood type of program,
Yeah, that's
that's not the
different. That's
same
totally
as
different. We're
turning
talking about
around.
Indiana. Notre Dame
Yeah,
is already in Indiana, so they had the state on lock for the past 100 years. 150 plus years. It's not like this guy is at a blue blood school. I mean, Signetti is a threat, and I think, and this is coming from a Georgia fan, I think if, like Sean said earlier, if Kirby knows anything, he knows players take on the personality of their head coach. And Indiana may want to be the last team Georgia sees in the playoffs because they may be able to match their energy more than anybody.
yeah. I mean, they look good. Ohio State has been the pretty much unanimous best team this year, and it wasn't pretty. It wasn't
Yeah.
easy.
Do you
Obviously,
think so?
I mean, I've been pushing back personally on this
they've just been
podcast, but
coasting though. That's the problem.
Who
yeah,
did Ohio State play to really convince you that they're gonna dominate throughout the playoffs this
no,
year?
I mean,
They're that
at Steph, literally last
undisputed
week I
one team.
said
Yeah,
when they beat Michigan, that was the first time I was actually really like, all right, I can take Ohio State serious. And even Michigan is not great, but what they did to Michigan made me feel better. But yeah, no, I mean,
So
it
in the
wasn't.
fourth quarter of the Big Ten chip versus Indiana, that was Ohio State's first time trailing all season long. That was Julian Saint's first time trailing in a game all season long. The not even the last game of the year, the Big Ten chip. So that goes. I don't know if that says Ohio State's that dominant or their opponents are that weak. But judging from watching SEC football, there's no way you're gonna lead all year long in every single game you play. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean,
and go ahead.
Ohio State's defense is nuts. Don't get me wrong. Caleb Downs, Arvell Reese, like they have they have three of the best five players in college football. Like
yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from Ohio State, but I do think that their competition is subpar.
I agree, and that was my biggest thing as well. I felt like they didn't really prove themselves. They didn't face adversity, and we all know sometimes that's the best thing that could happen to a team. I mean, look at Georgia, like you mentioned, they lost to Bama early in the year, and you're pretty connected. You know that team took it personally, and it showed on the field. And I think the same can happen here for Ohio State. I mean, look what happened with them last year. They were kind of down and out, but it kind of built them character, and when they got into those dogfights in the playoffs, they were able to prevail and eventually, head to that national championship. So it's not the end of the road for Ohio State. Obviously, again, I think they were exposed a little bit. They still, Jeremiah Smith still went off. He was still a freak. Um, they still had guys flying
Yeah,
around
that guy's a
him.
beast, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
that
never.
one play where he caught the ball and then just like stuck his arm out and pushed the defender away from him, I was like, there's nothing you can do about that. But how did y'all feel about them not going for it on fourth down in the end?
Um, Ohio State or
Yeah, Ohio
Indiana?
State
My bad. I just blanked. Sorry.
when they missed the field goal, they kicked the field goal and that was when they missed it. It
Yeah,
was like
sorry, my
late in the
my
fourth
mic was
quarter.
stuck, but no, they that's. I don't think it was a bad decision because obviously it was a chip shot field goal, but 4th and 2 in that kind of game, you feel like you're not going to have many chances down
Right,
there.
right.
You might as well go for it, especially in a game where your spot in the playoff is locked. I mean, you really don't have much to lose here besides this one game. Ohio State hasn't won a Big Ten championship in what, 4 years, 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
It,
won it in the
fourth and
Kobe
what was it,
year, I'm
fourth
pretty
and two
sure.
stuff, 4th and 3. I'm not mad at the decision again to kick because you tie the game. It's 13-13. Your defense has been playing good this throughout the game. I think there was a decent amount of time left still too, right?
I
Over
think
three
there's only a
minutes.
few minutes.
I think there was like 3 minutes, and I think they still had a 2 minute warning when that kick happened. But yeah, I don't know. Fourth and
I
two in
think
most
Ryan Day is a
situations,
situational coach, has been questionable his whole career, so that doesn't. I wasn't even concerned after they didn't go for it. I've seen him do way worse than that, so I didn't think too much of it. But knowing their defense, I wouldn't even. I wasn't thinking so much into it, but now that you bring it up, that is a good point. That
I
is a
mean,
yeah,
good
it's
look,
point.
Ohio State, they have been, probably the best team all season, but they're still a flawed team. I mean, outside of Jeremiah Smith and Cardinal Tate, what receiver are you worried about?
yeah. They
Running
don't have
backs
much.
is eh.
Yeah, for
I
sure. I
mean,
think
Bo
that's their
Jackson
flaw
has
right
been better.
there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like Bo Jackson has gotten better as the year has gone on, but the running backs is eh. Oh, the old line is not very good. Um, but it's really just their defense that's really amazing. So, this is a team that they've got some really amazing players, but not a lot of depth. Um, so I wonder how that's gonna play out, for the rest of these playoffs because we saw Indiana beat them. I think Ohio State should beat their opponents in the playoffs, at least until Georgia. I think, assuming both of them win their games and meet in semis, I think that's going to be, with a big, heavyweight fight, and we'll see who comes out on top of that. But yeah, like I'm not as confident as I was in Ohio State as I was, the
Definitely
whole
not.
entire
Definitely
season.
for sure.
I think like how I said, they got exposed a little bit. Um, and I think we got to really respect Indiana and stop acting like this was a fluke or something else. I mean, they're just as good as anybody in the country, and I think they can win the whole thing, man. It wouldn't surprise me if their quarterback wins a Heisman, and I just think that whoever plays them is, you got to bring your A game because they are so well coached. Their players are just always in the right spot and they were just able to make those big time plays that Ohio State wasn't. I mean, that one long pass at the end to get that first down to
I
to
mean,
just
bro,
run the clock out. Like,
we're talking about Charlie Becker with 126 yards and six
hmm
catches. I mean, this is after Omar Cooper, potential first round pick. I mean, Indiana looks like they have three potential first round picks on their offense with Surratt, Mendoza, and Cooper. They got some real
yep,
firepower on offense for sure. But once Omar Cooper went down, you see guys like Charlie Becker step up, and
yep,
just like you said, that's what we expect from teams like Bama. A goes down, wide receiver B is just another 5-star demon, six receptions for 126 yards. You don't expect that from teams like Indiana football. Like that doesn't happen. So when players step up like that, make plays like that, they definitely have a chance. They definitely have a chance.
All right. I think that will wrap up our first half of our show. It was a good championship weekend that led to obviously the drama on Sunday. We're going to take a quick break. And on the other side, we will break down all that drama. We'll talk about and give our take on this bracket that was revealed. And we'll talk about some of these matches, some of the games. We might not do predictions. We might do some predictions. We'll see how it goes. But again, this break it only lasts 1 second for you guys. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back.